Hi, I'm Rabbi Hammer, and this is Simply Mental Health. I remind you at the end of this video to please subscribe to our channel below, and feel free to send me your comments. I look forward to hearing from you, and send me your questions, and I'll try and address them accordingly. Today I want to deal with an issue that I'm sure has crossed your mind more than once, and the question is, does consistent or over-excessive use of a mobile device, for example, a mobile phone, does that or can that be the cause of mental illness? Now, while there's no question that it seems that we're not sure whether or not the usage of a phone or even over excessive usage of a mobile device can cause mental illness, it seems that it certainly can affect mental illness, or it can exacerbate an existing mental illness that might be dormant at the time. It can lend itself to exacerbating that particular situation. And therefore, while it might not necessarily initiate a mental illness from nothing, it certainly can exhibit unhealthy characteristics towards someone's mental state and mental well-being. And allow me to explain what I mean. In 2016, there was a study that was conducted on university campus in which the study was actually called FOMO, Fear of Missing Out. On this particular university campus, they asked or polled 308 students, and they found that there was a direct correlation with students who had a high level of FOMO, a high level of fear of missing out, and therefore needed and absolutely demonstrated that they had a need to look and to use consistently, perhaps even over excessively, their mobile devices because of that fear, and those same students exhibiting higher chances of developing depression and anxiety. So there seemed to be a direct correlation between the need to use the mobile device and the chances of those same people who had that need of developing or featuring various characteristics that are attributed to depression and anxiety. And there are practical considerations, I think, if we look at them and understand them simply to a certain extent, that we can understand. For example, a person who spends an exorbitant amount of time, a huge amount of time on their cell phone, obviously that is time spent away from people, from social interaction. It reduces their behavioral activation and subsequently increases their chances of depression. People who are not interacting socially are not going through the healthy norms of what we would call a healthy social existence. In addition, while we can't necessarily say that the cell phone or the mobile device is a cause of a mental illness, we do know that there are certain addictions that are akin to the use of mobile devices. People who use the cell phone or their mobile device consistently can demonstrate addictive behaviors to that particular device. And so what can happen is that the mobile device can become a substitute for how I feel good when I'm with my mobile phone, how I feel right and I feel in a proper place with myself when I am on my mobile device. And so in a sense, the mobile device or the mobile phone becomes a therapeutic tool, when in actuality, we know that consistently people are in need of human touch, in need of eye contact, and in need of hearing a human voice. I remember, unfortunately, close to Gila's demise, that she certainly exhibited a kinship and attachment to her phone. Her phone was her main connection and almost became her best friend with regards to communicating. She looked at her phone as a means of hearing from her friends, her real friends out there who were kind of moving on in their lives, and she didn't always hear from them, and she longed for that connection. Her phone was her connection to them, but we all know that a phone cannot be a substitute for human interaction. Human beings need to hear, they need to touch, they need to understand, and they need to have that social stratosphere that lends itself to a healthy interaction with society around us. And so a phone rather can be detrimental if a person becomes too dependent on it as a social means of connecting with the world around them. In the end of the day, rather, we know that it's not offering connect, but rather disconnect. And finally, one of the more obvious features of the usage of a cell phone consistently is what we would call sleep depravity. People who are always on their phones can also be prone to losing sleep. Australia did a study on this, and they found that of the 11,000 students that they polled, of the ages 13 to 16 years old, they found that consistently there was a direct link between poor sleep quality to those same people who exhibited poor sleep quality to adding to their own symptoms of depression and their own difficulties in dealing with what we would call low self-esteem. So in short, when we consider this question from the onset, while the jury is still out as to whether or not mobile devices and the use of a mobile phone can be the cause of mental illness, certainly considering above all of the criterion that were measured out before and that I spoke about during the course of this short vid, it's worthwhile for us to measure and to consider carefully before we overuse our mobile devices, before we overuse our phones. Best left for ourselves to consider whether or not we are spending copious time on them, and that can be detrimental to our relationships around us. Worthwhile to consider, and certainly points for us to think very deeply about it. I thank you for joining me today. I again remind you, please subscribe to our channel. You're welcome to communicate with me, send me a question or a comment, and I look forward to hearing from you. May we all be blessed with a great, healthy day, healthy living, and only know good tidings. Thank you.